Hi there. Hi there. Okay, so this is Dory. We're about to start day 2 of the 3-day training. I do need to do a little bit of stuff over my laptop here. So just bear with me and get yourself a cup of tea or water or something. And I need to share this onto a couple different places. I'm so glad you're here. Just bear with me. Just one more thing. I'm getting better about knowing how to do this, but it still takes time. And my laptop keeps thinking that I want to boost this, and I just want to share it. There we go. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, I think I got it. All right, so let me just get my notes up now. I ran out of the house. We had to leave the house at around 6:30 this morning, so I was up at 5:30 getting my daughter to a volleyball tournament on Long Island. So I ran out of the house without my little notes I was going to read off of, so I've got my laptop over here. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. My name is Dory. We are with day 2 of Weaving a Divorce Safety Net, which is a 3-day training I'm doing to help you know some ways that you always have your own back during tough times like in divorce and other stressful situations, giving you some tools that I've learned over the years to keep mind, body, and heart emotions strong. And so there's different things I've learned, and I'd love to share those with you. And yesterday we did body, so if you want to check that out, it's going to be on, it's live on Facebook already. But a little bit about me first, in case this is your first time. And I'm sorry about all the background noise. I'm right on the highway here. I am a clinical aromatherapist and holistic healing practitioner, as well as a divorce mentor. And using all of that combined knowledge and experience, I've developed a program called The Art of Graceful Divorce. And this is a program designed to especially with people in mind who understand that divorce is a time of transformation, giving them the tools they need to get there on the fast track with grace. Other divorce coaches will focus on like the legal and financial aspects of divorce, which is crucial. I'm here to take care of your emotional and your everything, the you of the divorce, and make sure that you have the strength to get through it in a way that you're proud of, and in a way, and you become through it the person that you want to be and who you envision for yourself. Helping you rise from what can be a really devastating time, rise from that like a phoenix. So today we're talking about the mind. All right, so this is a big one because you need your brain really badly right now, and it is time when you feel more than likely that you're being stretched really, really thin, pulled in a million different directions that you can't think even. I mean, if you're like me, there were points in my own divorce where it's just, I can't make another decision. I'm exhausted. Just do whatever you need to do. But the problem with that mindset is that you end up living with those decisions for a pretty long time. Some of the decisions that I wasn't able to pay attention to the way I needed to are ones I'm still living with, 13 years later. So that's why it's so important that we, as part of the safety net that we're weaving, that your mind is one of the things that we focus the most on. So with you're dealing with things like overwhelm and panic and scattered thoughts, sleeplessness. It never fails that as soon as you lay down to get some much needed rest, that's when your brain really kicks in. and is nice enough to remind you of all the things that you could have done, you feel like you could have done better or differently or not done at all. Things from your past you have no control over, that no control over changing, and things from the future that of course you don't even know are going to happen or not, but your brain will remind you of all that stuff at 3 a.m, sure enough. So, and being in that state puts you at a disadvantage for every part of your life. And you can't make, if you're in the lawyer's office, the real estate office, the financial planner, the million other people that you're making decisions with at this time, if you're not able to fire on all cylinders and bring your A game every single time, it can get, it puts you at a disadvantage for how you're shaping your new life. And even if you have children, with your children too. So having a clear, focused mind is basically the best weapon you can have. And I don't mean weapon like adversarial, because not all divorces are necessarily always contentious and adversarial, but you do want to, but you know what I mean by having it at your disposal, a tool to have at your disposal. So we're going to start with the basics. One of the first things that I do when I'm feeling anxious, or I feel like I can't think straight, or I make sure I'm getting the right nutrition, which we talked about in the body section, but also, and making sure I have enough water, because dehydration can make your thoughts really muddy and make it very difficult for every single body system to operate properly. But over that, B complex and magnesium are your best friends. Your brain and your nervous system needs B vitamins, all the B complex, all of them. And magnesium is excellent for anxiety, everything from like muscle cramps to anxiety, just general relaxation. Really take some magnesium. Definitely talk to your doctor first, as if you're on any medications. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if there's any interactions with those, and talk about proper dosage. But those two things, I find that if I don't have my magnesium, I don't sleep as well. I can get leg cramps and other things like that. So definitely check those two things out. The other thing I would recommend in the realm of essential oils, if you get triggered by scent, like migraines get triggered by scent, I would be careful with essential oils. But for the most part, you want to use really high quality stuff. I know that places like Walgreens and CVS and different drugstores sell essential oils now. No offense, but at that price point, they probably are not the quality that you need for true healing work. But I would say for sleep and just general grounding, I would stick with the woods like patchouli, sandalwood, cedarwood, vetiver, things like that are very grounding, soothing, and peaceful. You would want things like lavender and bergamot for sleep, lang lang, neroli. These all have sedative properties, anti-anxiety, very soothing, and it will also lift your spirits, because most of those happen to also be great for depression and alleviating sadness and helping you just feel better. They're kind of like mood boosters. The other thing that I want to share with you is flower essences. Now, that's different from essential oils. Flower essences are actually energetic. They're kind of like homeopathics. And I think Whole Foods and different health food stores sell these. The most popular brand is Bach, B-A-C-H. And they're usually over with the essential oils and supplements and things like that. But you can also get them on Amazon or just from Bach directly. And Bach is only one of a dozen companies that sell lines of these. But they are suspended in water, and they help you raise your vibration. Like, this is kind of based on the premise that, not the premise, the truth that everything's in vibration constantly, right? So if you're vibrating at a lower point, like sadness and grief, you can feel the heaviness of that. You want you to raise your vibration, and it helps with the keeping everything harmonious in your body. So there's one called white chestnut that is specifically for calming mental chatter when you feel like you're laying in bed at 3 a.m. and you cannot stop your brain. I would recommend using white chestnut. It might take 3 or 4 days for it to really start kicking in. Do it 3 or 4 times a day in a glass of water. But I found myself that it's depending on how severe the mental chatter is. It really does gently, and there's no side effects. It's just if your body doesn't need it, it just won't use it. But very calming to the mind, and you can actually use it throughout the day just to kind of keep your focus a little bit more tuned in. All right, so the other thing we can do here is and this is something that is so near and dear to my heart. There is a book. It's a philosophy this man named Noah St. John developed called affirmations. So everyone's heard of affirmations, right? I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm successful, and you say this stuff to yourself, and it helps it helps you feel that way. But what if you don't actually believe that, right? What if you're saying to yourself in the mirror, I'm safe, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, but subconsciously you don't believe it? You're basically just saying really nice things to your mirror right at the end of the day. And so the philosophy he came up with is that the way the brain works is that if you pose a question to the brain, it will do everything it can to find the answer. That's what the brain does, right? It's there to help you solve problems. So instead of saying, let's say, I am safe, you say, why am I so safe? Why do I feel so safe? And your brain in the back will start to try to figure out ways, why am I safe? Okay, well, I'm safe because I know I can call this person, and I'm safe because I know I can go here, and I'm safe that in the past I've done this and this before. Like, your brain will start to think about it, right? And it'll actually start to, and there's a way more, the book is this thick, but that's the basic premise of it, and it's called Affirmations by Noah St. John. So some basic principles are, like, let's say you are in a state of complete overwhelm and panic, and you need to go into, you need to have a really hard conversation with your soon-to-be ex or your ex. So, and that there's a chance that that you're panicked because you're afraid that it's not going to go the way you want it to go. Like, you're afraid that you're going to lose something that you hold dear, right? Let's say custody or custody day or something. So you would go into that, instead of telling yourself beforehand something like, I am safe, which you might not believe at that point, right? You would go into it, you would think, and again, this is back in the body section, getting very grounded before you go in those meetings. You can use the reflexology techniques I showed you yesterday on your hands to ground yourself. Take your deep breaths, root yourself and anchor yourself, do the visualization. This is all from yesterday. But go in and before you go into that meeting, say, okay, why am I safe? Why am I safe in this situation? Why is everything going to work out? Why, just start asking yourself those questions and give yourself a little bit of time for your brain to kind of think that through. And you even try it now when you're not in a panicked state. Do it about something that you're dreading doing right now, or something that you are feeling bad about, or just some unease about, and just try it out and see how you do with it. And let me know, actually. Put it in the comments and let me know how you do with that, because I find it really just super effective with helping me see through the panic and through the overwhelm and through that feeling of being shot out of a cannon, really helping me ground into what the truth is of what's going on, which is in most situations that you're going to be okay, that you are safe, you are held, in most situations. So, all right, so now we're going to talk about sleep. This is a big one, because we need this, especially when you're under a lot of stress. You really need your rest. And it can be extremely elusive to get a good night's sleep at any point in adulthood, but particularly when you're in a state of overwhelm and feeling like there's just too many things. Like I was saying earlier, your brain knows exactly how to keep you awake. So one of the things I would do is I would try the white chestnut. I would try the essential oils. If you you don't necessarily need to diffuse them. What I do as part of, so I created a bedtime ritual for myself that does not have to be that involved, right? Like, ideally you would, The bedtime ritual will involve ways to gently and completely relax you before you even try to go to sleep. So the devices go off, the TV goes off. This is ideal, right? You run yourself a bath with some essential oils. Again, we're living in an ideal world in this particular scenario. And then you have a cup of calming tea, and then you go and you lay down. Now that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is, your kids are running all over the place. They've got homework to do. You've got to drive them everywhere. The only time of the day you have to yourself is those few hours before bedtime. So you're trying to get 1,000 things done. So carve yourself out at least 10 minutes. You can do that. You can do 10 minutes before you go to sleep. What you can do is get one of those tubs from Target, those dishpan tubs, put some hot water in it with some of these essential oils I talked about, particularly a base note, like you want a wood note, like cedarwood, sandalwood, vetiver, one of those really that'll just like ground you and soothe you. And then put like some ylang ylang or lavender in the foot bath. You're making a foot bath, so just you make the water nice and hot, and put your feet in that for 10 minutes. That actually relaxes your whole body. And again, it gets back to a lot of it is some reflexology principles as well. But I was telling you yesterday that we're doing the reflexology on our hands because we can't really bring our feet out in the middle of the day. But having your feet in the hot water is a really huge part of being able to relax your whole body. And those essential oils get right into your bloodstream through the bottoms of your feet. But the idea is just to create that ritual for yourself so that you've got that 5 or 10 minutes for your whole body to just start to decompress before you lay down. All right, so let's say that you have no trouble falling asleep, but then you end up waking up, right, at like 3 a.m. If that's the case, there are some things that I would recommend you can do to soothe yourself back to sleep. A big one for me was, again, I'm going back to the reflexology points from yesterday, but just holding your fingers like this, squeezing them. This is actually working, the reflexology points for your nervous system and your brain. But just this act of squeezing your fingers, you're going to need to do it more than once. And if you're really tired in the middle of the night, you don't need to squeeze them really hard. This is mostly a comforting thing. And as you're doing it, you're going to do a visualization that I have found absolutely beautiful in my own life. And this is the visualization of creating your own inner sanctuary. This was done, I was in a women's, I can't remember, the word is escaping me, but it was a group that I was in for a program that I was in for like 9 months, I think, where we talked all about the principles of the divine feminine. And one of the big things that we did at the beginning of each session is we kind of created this place for us to be safe. And it's inside. It's right inside of you, and you can pull in whatever your belief system is as far as spiritual goes. But the basics of it is that you close your eyes and you calmly imagine a beautiful space. It can look however you want it to look, but mine tends to be full of beautiful silks and deep colors and just everything else. I want you to go through this, and this is something that's going to take you a little while to do, so I'm just going to go through the basics of this right now, maybe jot it down. All 6 senses, right? So you want to, what does the place smell like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What are the textures? What do they feel like? Even bring in taste. Is there a bowl of delicious chocolates next to you? Are you drinking a glass of delicious wine? And the 6th sense is how does it feel, like the connection piece, right? When you're in this safe space. And that is a space that's always going to be inside of you, right? So when you're laying there in the middle of the night, bring yourself there. And that is a place where you are completely held. You're held there and you're safe. And it's a complete, the more work you put into actually visualizing it, the more of a comfort it will be. But it's a way to create a haven for yourself when things get really, really chaotic. You can just slip in there for 15 seconds. And take a breath and know that there's a place you can go where everything is beautiful for you. And that is the first step towards knowing that you can create that outside of yourself as well, right? That's part of this. That we're gonna, if you do the Art of Graceful Divorce with me, that's a big piece of this is having the inner sanctuaries, but also creating a life that you absolutely love and you feel safe in. And another big thing is if you're someone who likes to journal, I know that one of the things that can really set you off in divorce is all of the what ifs and all of the assuming that you're just your worst case scenario constantly running in your head, because there's so many unknowns, there's so many variables, so many things that could go wrong, but there's a lot of things that could go right too, but that's not what you're thinking about at 3 a.m. or when you're in a cold panic throughout the day. So one of the best things that I've read, and this is from Debbie Ford. She said that go ahead and write out the worst case scenario. Like, write it down, the absolute worst case scenario, and don't hold anything back. I mean, describe it in complete detail. Every single detail of how horrible this particular situation could go off the rails. Just, make it so that it's like you're writing like a movie, a scene from a blockbuster movie, just like every possible crappy thing that could happen, and write that down. Okay, so you've got it down there. That's the worst thing that could the worst way this could go. Okay, now just start from the beginning. And okay, so let's say this did happen. This has happened. Exactly what you wrote down has now happened. What's the first thing you would do? What would you do? Like, let's say the worst case scenario is that you lose your house, right? Okay, so what's the first thing you would do? Well, I guess I would call my friend, whoever, and ask if I could stay there for a little while. She would let me. That would be so. Okay, so you write that down. Okay, so I would call this person, and what's the next thing you would do? Well, I guess I would talk to my friend who's a realtor and see if she knows of any, okay, so write down that, and just go through this whole thing. Like, so then what would you do? Like, actually take it seriously, write down exactly what you would do. And by the end of that, you know what? You've got a plan for your worst case scenario. You can do this. Even if it goes completely off the rails, in some space, you're resourceful. You're probably even more resourceful than when you're really up against a wall like that. So I find that exercise, when I start doing that to myself, like, oh my God, what if, I just, okay, well, what if that does happen? What would I do? Okay, so I can handle it, it turns out, and you can handle it. All right, so that is, I forgot to bring this up yesterday, but a big part of the Art of Graceful Divorce is bringing in aspects of what is referred to as the divine feminine. It's a spiritual, so when I say feminine and masculine, I'm not talking about gender, I'm talking about energy, and we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. And that being in harmony is when we are at our best. The world today is skewed dramatically to the masculine, but it's coming back more into the feminine. And when you think so with your brain, and with women in particular, we tend to think and act in spirals. The spiral is the feminine shape. The direct arrow is the masculine. So any kind of energy going directly out is masculine, and any kind of thing where it kind of gradually comes back in and out and in and out, that's feminine. So sometimes your brain can do that. It's here for a while, then it goes back over there. Just gently let it do that. Just gently let your thought process go where it wants to go. Don't fight it so much. That's one of the things you can do if you can't sleep, is just stop fighting it and just try to breathe through it and just see where the rhythm of it takes you. That's on the more esoteric side of my advice, but we go much more into that into the program itself. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you to help you keep mentally focused and strong. at times like this. Tomorrow we're going to do the emotions in the heart, which is a very huge piece of this. So just to let you know, if you are interested in anything you've heard about, if you think this is helpful, definitely comment and let me know. I'd love to know your feedback. And if you're interested in knowing more, please go to www.artofgracefuldivorce.com. And just to let you know too, I am looking to have 3 people go through a streamlined version of Art of Graceful Divorce. You'll get all the material and all the support, but just on a month, 6-week time frame for a very reduced fee, just so that I can get some experience and work through the material with a few people. If that sounds interesting to you, please private message me and let me know, and I would love to talk to you about that. Okay, well, great. Well, you guys have a beautiful day. The sun is finally out here on Long Island, and I'm looking forward to getting some fresh air. And I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you tomorrow at 10 o'clock right here. All right, thanks. Bye.